Hello and welcome to this edition of Outfit and Protect. My name is Rick Buchert. I'm your host today, and today I want to dig a little bit into the leadership change at Line-X, what I found out and what I think it's going to mean for those that stay and, more importantly, those that decide to leave. So for those of you that don't know me, hello, my name is Rick Buchert. I was a former Line-X franchisee. I'm also a SSPC certified protective coating specialist, and I've spent my entire life pretty much in the retail space doing nose to nose, toes to toes sales and marketing. So this is my jive. So let's get right into this. So let's talk a bit about who is the new president of Line-X, Blair Boggs, and what do I think he's going to be doing over the next little bit. It's important to start off with understanding this guy's background, because he's not like us, and I want to make that real clear. This is not an entrepreneur. This is a corporate guy, and he went to school at Wharton, got his MBA, worked for companies like Driven Brands, which are a number of glass franchises, Meineke, Mako, lube shops, that kind of thing. So his entire life has been in this corporate franchise space. So to be very blunt, he doesn't understand people like us at all. He's obviously very educated, very sharp, but he knows what he knows. When he went into become the president of Line-X, he took what he knows, which is this franchise model, which is you're going to pay on every dime of revenue you bring in. And for those of us that started under there is no royalty fee, it's included in your product purchase, and then he wants to roll this out. A lot of us found that really offensive. So that's understanding where that guy's coming from is a big part of knowing where all this is from. And I apologize for my computer. The fans kicked on in the background, and I don't know why it's that loud, but it is. But I want to talk about this guy's career so that we can understand where he's likely to go in the future with the franchise and what that's going to mean for those of us, especially those of us that are saying adios. He was the chief revenue officer at Driven Brands, so his goal is to extract as much money out of the franchise network as possible. That's what a revenue officer does. They're trying to get more revenue, and the revenue, understanding that their revenue doesn't come from actually doing the business themselves. It comes from you doing the business and you growing it, and then they take a cut for whatever their role is. Now, my contention is that since 2021, when he came in, what value have they added to the franchise network? And as near as I can tell, it's nothing. They talk about national advertising. Well, you know what, in a small market, that really doesn't matter. There has been the push towards doing more of the commercial work, like upfitting, and that's great, but I don't necessarily see how that shift is going to make a huge difference to the network as a whole, nor do I see how the majority of franchisees would be able to leverage that model as something that they are doing full-time in order to make a good living, because ultimately that's what we all want to do. The things that I've seen so far, and just what I've read, and again, none of this is firsthand, this is just me as an outside observer looking in, that his mandate is more towards his corporate goals and frequently at the expense of individual franchisee autonomy. So he's not looking for how we can make more money, and then by extension he's just looking at how he can make more money, and regardless of what our position is. So the shift, just to make sure we're clear on it, is that previously the royalty, or the way that Line-X made money, was by building a fee into the price of the product. And then we were free to do whatever we wanted to as far as margins, selling, who we went to, everything else. And he wants to go to a royalty-based system based on top-line revenue. This to me is this is a massive shift. And were I still in the network when all this rolled out, I'd have told him to piss off too, because a lot of what I did had nothing to do with anything that they brought to the table, and a substantial amount had nothing to do with what they brought to us. So there was no way I was ever going to consider paying them on that amount. Here's what I see coming. You are going to see them dramatically and step up enforcement of their non-compete clauses. This is going to, I can see them very militantly trying to restrict past franchisees, especially recent ones, from using what they have learned in order to compete with remaining franchisees, assuming you've got one in the other network. You shouldn't, but in case you do. But they will be using that as leverage, because they are going to try and replace you. They are going to try and put another franchisee ideally right next door to where you are, so that when someone comes by looking for the brand that you have built up over many years, and they see that there's another one right beside it that now says LineX, that they're going to turn into that one and not into yours. So I can see that being something on the horizon, and they aren't going to take the loss of all the franchises lying down. They are going to try and replace every one of us. They already had replacements lined up for me when I left. That was no surprise. Do I think they will back down? Not a chance. I don't see this guy as being the kind who's going to back down just because he's had a bunch. He's going to take the heat of having a number of us leave, and my assumption is that he already prepared the people he answers to that this is going to happen and we're going to lose a bunch. The question will be how much leash the shareholders are going to give him to run with this, because there is no question right now that LineX has taken a massive revenue hit, and my guess is that it's going to be running a loss for the next little bit. So they're having to weather this storm out. I also see the longer term play here is once they have the revenue model fixed, where they have new franchise. Hey, we've got this new model, and it's we got rid of this old stuff, we cleaned it up, we've cleaned house, we've gotten rid of all these annoying independents who didn't want to pay us, and now we want to sell this to someone else, and that's how they're going to make their money. I don't see them holding on to it the long term. That's just not what these capital raising companies do. They're fix and flip. That really is what they do. They're like, flip this house on a grander scale. It's flip this corp. So what does that mean? It means that they're going to have to do two things. One, they're going to have to get new franchisees, and secondly, they are going to have to somehow get this vehicle upfit division that they have been touting up and running. Whether they can do that quickly or not, I doubt it. I think we're going into a recession. I think you are going to see a lot, especially in the fleet side of things, you're going to see a lot more companies holding on to their vehicles longer now, rather than recapitalizing and buying new ones. This definitely was not the right time for them to do this, but hindsight being what it is, don't expect them to change direction anytime soon. Do I see legal risks for franchises that are leaving? Yeah, absolutely, because I do see them being extremely litigious. I do see them particularly on enforcing non-compete clauses. If you've still got signage up anywhere or on websites or anything else, you're going to be getting letters with cease and desist. There's no question about that. I can see them forcing franchises that stay to leave certain Facebook groups, citing non-compete clauses that they can't be in there talking about things. And then it's the matter of, as the franchisee, of dealing with this new model because it is unknown. Is it going to reduce profitability? I think it will. Most franchisees that I've talked to, generally, if you're keeping 15 to 20 cents on the dollar at the end of the year, you're doing well. If you're doing $1 million of revenue and you're keeping 150 to 200 at the end of the year, you're doing really, really well. When you go from, let's just say it's 16%, because it makes the numbers easy. Let's say 17, it makes the number really easy. So you got a 6% royalty on top line revenue, and you've got a 2.5 marketing royalty on top of that, so you got 8.5. So if you were making 17%, so $170,000 on revenue at the end of the year, you're going to lose half of it. So 85,000 of that 170, so half of it is now going to them right off the top. So will that affect profitability? I think it will. I think you immediately, if you are staying in the franchise network and you're not bumping your prices 10%, you're going to really feel it at the end of the year. I don't think you have a choice. I think you have to do it. So given everything that I see, I don't see this as being for those of us that have built our own brands and built the brand locally, I think you can leverage it. You need to immediately be getting in front of it saying, here's why we are no longer LineX, and here's our new name, and you need to have the thing I would do more than anything else for now is be using some sort of either an e-newsletter or a paper newsletter. I would be using retargeting ads, telling people that you've changed. Just posting it once on Facebook, that is not enough. People are not going to know that you've changed, and you need to tell them why you did it, and you need to tell them how it will benefit them, and that's going to be key. So that leads me into my next video, which I'm not going to do. This one's gotten long enough already. We're quite a ways in. In the next one, I'm going to talk about what I would be doing now in order to go independent, leverage the opportunities that I have right now, and in my mind, with the changes that are coming on internet, with AI, with Web 3.0, this is the absolute best time that this could have happened. It is probably the dumbest time to do it from LineX's perspective, but if you're going to get forced to go independent, now is a really, really great time. If you have comments on this, I would love to hear from them, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much, and I hope you have a wildly productive day.